mind. You're blowing everybody's mind. You're fixing all the time. You're blowing everybody's mind. Food stuff are a shortage daily. Business places running in the city. Before they watch these things seriously, the only thing is a comedy. Ridicule and the party giving, and all of the members laughing. Whilst they having a good time, big action we royal behind. Why is the speaker speaking? In Parliament the fixing. Smoking, making sweet, I go sell when? In Parliament the fixing. So much of dirty water we drinking. In Parliament the fixing. We have a telephone and it a walking. In Parliament the fixing. If you paying for election coming. In Parliament the fixing. So he put a cabinet in the kitchen. In Parliament the fixing. Every day sicky playing. In Parliament the fixing. Nothing in the country walking. In Parliament the fixing. Mr. Speaker, sir, in Parliament I really admire the behaviour of the opposition. Shah and Pandey, they are always fighting among each other. I believe they are really great lovers of themselves. In Parliament the fixing. In Parliament the fixing. Shah and Pandey, they are always fighting among each other. I believe they are really great lovers.
It's time for me that I learn some sense and stop taking serious things for nonsense and laughing. Anything that takes place in this country, whether it affects the country or we laughing. What's our anger so in the same race? Hospital and Smith is in second place and we laughing. We mad people coming from heaven knows they walk in the street with the thing exposed and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad, everybody keeps saying up on we ain't saying that. Always reshuffling cabinet and up to now they can't do nothing yet and we laughing. We buy a boat and it never floats. Instead we know it used to carry boat and we laughing. Raise the salary with a big back pay and we trenching for workers every day and we laughing. When election come and you wouldn't vote or you stay in this we go cut it throat and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad, everybody keeps singing up on we in Trinidad. All our justice trending in record time, people asking if we promoting crime and we laughing. Can't finish the hospital or priority, but they finish the money in the treasury and we laughing. If got losing $500,000 a day, it's come on the main road and the highway and we laughing. They went from Alex and the Guyanese let go holler run off the hook with it and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad, everybody keeps saying up on we in Trinidad. Some Barbadians say Adam shouldn't dead, that 13 PM should have dead instead and we laughing. We see Tobago and say tobacco, where he get his schooling from them don't know and we laughing. Sideline the commissioner police, things that happen look crime on the increase and we laughing. The minister say crime on the decline and in 3 months they more than 29 and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad, everybody keeps saying no fun, we ain't Trinidad. Stop taking serious things for nonsense and laughing. Anything that takes place in this country, whether it affects the country or we laughing. What's Saranga throwing the same rate? Hospital and skin this in second place and we laughing. We my people coming from heaven knows they walk in the street with the thing exposed and we laughing.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. Yes, it is the Saturday edition, long time, of the corridor transformation. And yes, indeed, of course, we have some programming, what I consider to be information that I want to share with you tonight. Because we cannot, of course, countenance or in any way fathom, far less to tolerate or accept the constant disruptions. So I have found a solution to, of course, permanently, while, of course, Murphy's Law will always be a factor, that is to say that when something has to go wrong, it will at the worst possible time. But the fact of the matter is that in human circumstance, it is not perfect. We strive for perfection, but at the end of the day, there's a certain level of tolerance above which no one is expected, of course, to accept. And therefore, I would want to begin tonight by, of course, making some programming changes, but for the better, having regard, of course, to some of the disruptions that are taking place. So let me, of course, start with that. First and foremost, of course, let me say a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web, pleasant good day to you. This is, yes, the Corridor Transformation, your host, Lennox Smith. And indeed, we have had too many disruptions, in my view, so many issues that are at stake, that are around, that are in limbo. We have, of course, Chris, a list, and of course, all of the issues surrounding there. And of course, the corridor transformation ought to be, I should say, focused on issues like these, since, of course, it treats with what? The situation in the ghetto, in, of course, in communities. So we have, of course, that requires attention, because, of course, it will be of insignificant, or put another way, it will reduce our significance in terms of the establishment of this Empowerment Resources Center right here on George Street, where I am beaming from. And therefore, it is my duty, it's incumbent on me that I get to of course, in contact with, of course, Chris, in order to interact and to share some of the corridor transformation's position on the multiple matters that he has been exposing to an international audience, more than what the ground report or the corridor transformation or any other platform in Trinidad will be able so to do. And therefore, I have a duty to capitalize on such development, and I will do so. I was very meticulous and very concerned that if I do not have the social media platform from which to launch and to engage, I will be doing an injustice, of course, to the effort. And therefore, now that I think by and large, in fact, Cuff just left here moments ago, I was just to make certain that both the audio and video are in place. I want to also say that you can call now if you wish, 337-6940, 337-6940, that's the number to call us at. And of course, the other number you can get us at 336-6594, 336-6594 is the other number where God knows we need some assistance because we had to, of course, do over the entire software, and we see that there is a tremendous improvement, but there are one or two other things that are associated with a quality product that we need, of course, to address as well. But I am extremely elated, raring, able and capable of getting the job done. And therefore tonight is just another one of those efforts. But let me say one time before, of course, we play Imbert. And I want to tell you at the same time, if you look carefully, you would see that Imbert is in Parliament delivering, of course, the 2018 to 19 budget statement. Yeah, 18 to 19 budget statement. And you see, I started there because I wanted you to recall when he spoke of course, the economy is booming. And the next year, which was 2018, in that budget, he said that everything is all right and they did it their way. And that, of course, he can see the light. He can see because the air is rare and the sky is bright. In other words, made famous by Jimmy Cliff, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. That is what he was saying in 2018. You see, it is important for us to understand the level of shenanigans and the level of deception and the level of evil and the level of wickedness, incompetence, and of course, showmanship that has not just infiltrated and not just has been exhibited, but appears to be central to the poor performance and the maladministration and the evil governing and government and the toxicity of the Rowley administration over the last 9 years or so far. We have one more year to go, thank God. And you would know what to do. I know your minds are made up. All we have to do, of course, is to reinforce by the daily, not just FOPAs. I think, as I have concluded, that it is deliberate. It was so from the beginning, a con job on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Thank God, after 2 terms, with all of that mamagai and deception, you are finally able to realize that these fellas are a bunch of foolers. Let's go straight to the line. Forgive me, I think the mic was down on this one. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Pleasant good night to you and everybody on the live. Pleasant good night.
Go ahead.
Well, I see that you come back out from any mines. You went and collect some crystal. You're showing crystal clear right now.
Yes, boy. We had to do something, boy. And I think we are on our way. Let me put it that way. I don't want to say anything yet.
Right. And your song ain't good too.
Thank you very much.
So
thank you very much. Yes. I had to do some work, boy. Oh gosh, work after work after work. It was sleepless nights, sleepless days in order to get this thing up and running in a manner that we could communicate acceptably. But go ahead.
Well, based on what it is I've seen for the past 2 weeks, and now until election, I feel you're going to be descending right now in the area of the PNM. I take time to remember, you're going to be assured right down here to the area of the PNM because everybody right now is feeling the evil that Rowley at the PNM putting onto the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You see that bank wall, talk about the heavy and TC talk about the African bank where they don't want black people to benefit from.
Yes.
We will pay a heavy price so that when the election date called 2025. Lockdown and listen.
Yes. Thank you very much, my friend, of course, and thank you. Your song in bubbling as well, of course. You can call right now because, of course, on the 337-6940. But let me make that statement one time before we go to Imbert. I told you that he is talking there in 2018. You see, I am saying so because he was boasting in 2017, 2018, that, of course, the economy was booming. We played that just before, of course, we got this unnecessary interruption. And then, of course, the following year, as I'm going to play tonight, he spoke about, of course, he can see clearly now. The rain is gone. And that everything, of course, is booming or continues to boom. But today, he's talking about gloom and doom. Gloom and doom next 3 years. We're going to, let's take this call. A pleasant good night.
I know if things might break up with you, but for now you're singing good and you're looking good.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The first caller, the last sentence he talked there about the African bank. What he's saying is truth. I could see that. You see, if they don't bring in that bank in this country, they will get blows, right? And then they can't really want that bank in here. It's blows for them anyhow you take it. Because you see that bank with Stuart and his brother have there? I always call it the Bacchanal Bank. And next thing they getting blows with is Christmas list. Right? Yes. I don't know if people seeing how far this thing going.
Oh yes,
but there's blows for that man.
That's why I have to get involved. So I'll be communicating with Christmas.
Blows for that man they call Keith Rowley with that Christmas list.
Yes.
He afraid them. You see the fellas in the ghetto and thing, talk to him and tell him a lot of things. They talk about the government.
Yes.
They talk about the non-employment.
Yes.
Due to the Spanish and them here. They talk plain. Right?
And it has nothing to do with seditious intent or objective.
No, you even go in
These fellas, no, talk about the government people. The government people are thin-skinned. They're cowards.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Forget them and they make a serious concoction. They concoct that.
Yes, and
right?
to their own detriment.
Yes, and that concoction they come up with, it can't work.
Yeah.
You understand?
They defeat the purpose. They shoot themselves in both feet.
Them fellas pour out their belly to that man.
Yes.
And they treat him nice because everybody warning him, don't go there. Don't go so. Come back so. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And he still go through.
Yes.
And don't matter which ghetto he go in, they treat him good. He get good treatment.
That's right.
And so right now that man is like he obligated to these fellas. Right? That is what I think,
No. He has said that in a different way, but he has said that he come to speak the truth. And the truth, but of course, some people may see it as obligation, but he's speaking the truth. And how you take it, the truth must prevail. Go ahead.
Yes. So, as I always say, they could have how much law, local law, right? It have the international law. As Lyndon Mark told you all on the ground report this week. This week. I heard him talking.
Yes.
He's a person like me would talk about the United Nations and human rights.
Yes.
And he entered that. So people must pay attention to Lyndon Mark. He told you all about the Human Rights Council where we are a signatory since the days of Eric Williams.
Yes.
And if you own to that treaty, you can't come with this kind of concoction where all you come with here for the man. I want to see if Anna and Ram Logan will come up with that part. You can't beat the international law, right? Their law is their law, right? So this thing will go far. I see it going far. Right? Look at the part where he was in prison, not prison, but I would say held at the police station.
Yeah, he was detained.
The man tell you.
Yes, he was detained and charged.
Detained.
Yes.
The man tell you he wasn't allowed to take baths on a daily basis. The toilet, when the prisoners used the toilet, it didn't have no toilet paper. This thing is not good at all, man. Nah, it's pressure.
Yes,
it has something else I want to say, you know, but let me give somebody else a chance.
Yes, you can always call back, all right? Yes, indeed. Yes, people, of course, I have to get on to Christmas, list, because that is important for, if we say that we are a ghetto along the East-West corridor and focus Laventil and environment centered or centric, is imperative. It is incumbent upon me to make some kind of effort there. Once I will be, of course, attending his hearing as well, so as to get a one-on-one as well. But I thought I should get the program up and running, the corridor transformation, before I make those kinds of intervention. So now that we are on our way to doing that, the other things will follow. But let's go back to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox. How are you going, boy?
Well, of course, the pressure the last few days has been extremely difficult, but I have been able to survive, been there before, and therefore experience trumps in such circumstance. Go ahead.
You mean him, but on the PNM getting so much pressure, boy?
Boy, and they say, well, it was a Canadian, in fact, ironically or by sheer chance, is a Canadian ambassador or high commissioner who told me, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And of course, I have been described as a tough one. So just like Christmas list, I am of the same cloth. I see myself. Go ahead.
Remember we had a singer from down here named Billy Ocean sing that song too,
Right.
When you go and get tough, the tough gets going.
That's right. And that is what it's all about. And Trinidad and Tobago must now get even tougher with this administration, having regard to its underbelly having been exposed and how simple-minded they are, and doing something to achieve the non-exposure of the country, but ended up, of course, exposing Trinidad and Tobago not just to the globe and the world, but to the whole universe. That's how stupid they are. But go ahead.
Lennox, I really disappointed with the DPP,
Yes,
he have all the authority in this country to bring about a case against somebody, right? Yes. And he should know with this Christmas list case here, that is what the result in huge miscalculation,
but the Lord moves in mysterious ways. I say it's divine intervention.
Well, I think, let me tell you something, From what I see in there, it looked like the DPP won the case to go to court and the state will lose. Because that will eventually happen. The state will lose this matter and they'll have to pay the man some money.
And more than that,
a few $100,000.
Express in trouble too. Express endanger the man's life by saying how he carried the police to the various blocks and so on, as if he's an informer based on the information that he would have gathered, He, as he came out, he made a video on that alone, which of course I'll play tomorrow. I just want to feel out how tonight would go and whether this will be the norm. And if this is the norm, then we could, the sky's the limit, so to speak. But go ahead.
So Christmas, let's win the Express too?
Yeah, but he has to. Because the Express tried to set him up. As he said, to kill him. Yeah.
Lennox, and this little troll, this little man who does have only a claim to fame when he comes to read budget statements.
Yes.
Coming and telling the people he have a shortfall on $9 billion. You know how much is $9 billion, Lennox?
Boy, you can't even fathom it, you can't even ideate, you can't even think how far that could stretch around the world several times by putting each dollar on edge, on the narrow side.
Lennox, these people are no shame, you know. For the last 9 years, they have the entire population tightening belt, tightening their waist.
Tomfoolery right through incompetence. I want to tell people now that Trinidad and Tobago is in a poor state of economic health. After you give us all of that story that the economy turned around, that is booming, and that of course you can see clearly now the rain is gone, all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah. All that foolishness like this man is a Ramaji and come and think these kind of foolishness. And now he come and telling people you had to ban your belly for the next 3 years. People didn't ban their belly for the last 9 years.
Of course not. Get the hell out, and we will deal with you. Blue lights and silver bracelets. You have to tell us where we money gone. All right, someone is coming on.
Enough people are gone.
All right, okay. Let me take the next call. President, good night. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you as well. How is songing out there? How is songing?
Then, Mr. Lennox.
Hey.
We are singing fit like a lion.
All right.
And strong like an eagle. And to all the slave catchers, it was sent chill down their spines.
Yes.
Mr. Lennox, they say I can see clearly now, and I'm hearing clearly now.
Right, good.
So,
but they say patience is virtue, and they say tenacity brings, of course, success. So I think a combination of both has created that, and of course your tolerance as well, because I know every night you are tuned in, and to be disappointed so many times, most people would have turned away. But thank God you have people like you and the others that are on right now. Go ahead.
Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
I will have to pull up on your jockey shorts.
Go ahead, man.
You know, if I turn away from this program, right?
Yeah.
You're telling me I have $400 million in setup right now, and you can't see what that medicine is. But we can manage it with less. 100 million. What you want me to go and dig in the dirt to find the medicine? Popeye root, Brandy root, you tell me black stage, and then you have Bacando, Zava Peak, and fever grass. There we want to look for the medicine, because if we have 400 and we can't find it. But Mr. Lennox, I love you and a great program.
Thank you very much.
But I want to tell the hackers and the misleaders,
yes,
that we shall overcome.
That's right. All the time. They could do what they want. They could try how much disruptive acts and utilizing the technology so to do, but they cannot keep under wraps indomitable spirit of wanting to do the right thing, and the right thing must prevail. Evil could never prevail over good.
Right, and God will bless it and always say. But what I want to comment on,
go ahead,
to the hackers and them,
yes,
they had put up videos, and I enjoy seeing them videos to see what Keith Rowley leadership is doing to the membership.
Yes.
Exposing them nakedly, embarrassing them.
It's not by accident. It's not by accident those naked and licentious videos came up. I see that as a figment, not a figment, but as a extension of Dr. Rowley's very, very pernicious and evil and sexual, what I consider to be perverted disposition.
No, I will say that is his greed, his passion. So his hackers was sending the message to show him, like, Master, look, we get the program to show you and satisfy your greed and your need.
And give him what you like.
Honey goat weed. So, Mr. Lennox,
yes,
I spent enough time.
Yes. All right, I have another person on the line.
Finish yet.
Okay, go ahead.
No, tell the caller my contribution on this program. I'll give way, but I'll call back in a little while.
All right.
Because here's what's going on.
Yeah.
I want to expose something on this budget and other things.
Okay, good. No problem. No problem. Yes, indeed, of course. Sorry about that, caller. Wow, we have the line just lighting up, but we have you on the system. President, good night. I think this looks like Miss Madras. Good night.
Of the
yes.
And thus, Madam Speaker, We avoided the IMF trap that so many other Caribbean countries have succumbed to.
I respect you, and I love Ground Report. I think what you're doing to the UNC, and I say UNC, I mean the party, yeah? I'm not supporting the person. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm hearing you. Go
okay,
ahead.
Good. All right. I want to make sure. I may not support the leader that you choose, but I support the party as a whole, and that does not mean I'm a PNM. All right? And I want to share something that the last caller said something on Ground Report.
Okay.
And I want to share this, and I'll be very quick, Lennox. Because Lennox, you are a very intelligent man, and I am a fairly smart woman. But before Rushton Power raised anything about the internal election, how many of you knew what was going on in the internal organization of the UNC? I listen to their meetings, and they reveal a lot. Many people who are not members of the UNC.
Caller, just hold on. I have someone on the other line. Hold on, eh?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll make it quick. They don't carry a party.
Hold on. I have
but
someone
they
on the other
vote
line, so go ahead.
No problem,
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah, go
All
ahead,
right,
Mr.
all right,
Joss.
I'll make it. Caller, I'll make it very quick. But
Yes.
Lennox, this is the truth. Many people don't carry a party card for the UNC, but they support the party. And what they really listen to, because many of our voters are very uneducated. When you look at those schools, the Hindu schools and the village schools that they go to, these are poor communities with bad roads. Some of these schools are not painted. These schools are cramped, old furniture. It's not like we're living in a first country. You know what I mean, Lennox?
Yes.
And the truth of the matter is this. The truth of the matter is this, is that it has to change. Because when you have a minister with white privilege coming here and schooling us on finance, this man got his finance degree while he was a minister of finance. And he kicked out a very scholarly, intelligent man like Rowley Rambaran, who was the governor of the central bank. And he made sure that man never got employment. And Rowley Rambaran won that lawsuit.
Yes.
You see,
$7 million.
Yes. This man, this imbert, uses his white privilege all the time in Parliament.
Yes.
And he's only with the PNM because he loves money. And let me tell you something. The UNC is going to go through a transformation because you need a strong, manly, male voice to beat up the PNM. And it will happen. You cannot have a feeble voice. You cannot have weakness anymore. We need a strong man, no soft man. And we need an intelligent person. Because the PNM, they have a psychology on us. It's called psychological retaliation. And what they do is they bring seed up to scare all you. We can have the best hospitals, the best schools, but they thief in all the money. And that money is not even here. They're laundering it like a Chinese laundromat and it's leaving the country.
Yes.
So my comment is this. You know, I'm going to make it quick, Lennox. I'm glad you're back on the air, man.
Yes.
And I love your program. I'm going to tune in and listen all through the night.
Thank you very much.
Take care,
Thank you very
my
much. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Of course. Go ahead, caller. I mean, commendations all wrong. Loud and clear. Go ahead, my friend.
Good night, Mr. Lennox. A man of the biggest words in the entire globe, man. I'm telling you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You sounded real good, my brother. I'm telling you, man, loud and clear. Everything is crisp.
Great. Boy, me and Cuff was here just now.
I really enjoying this.
Good.
So, I watched on Parliamentary TV the other day, right?
Yes.
And, Kamala went and bought some serious files over there.
Yes.
Right? Do you know them want to close down, PNM want to close down like social programs, they're adding back VAT, you know what I mean, CDAP and everything like that. They want to like make people pay for like medical, like medicine and all them kind of thing.
Yeah, well, Kamala Prasad Bissessa did disclose it, and it angered. I mean, his irascibility couldn't be contained because she was reading or she was quoting, not that she had it before her, but she said she has access to and will deliver it, a government document that discuss those very matters.
Well, that come right from the doing that paperwork, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Come right from him. And then when she was reading out all that, right, like what the intentions to do to, you know, get to build to make money. You know,
yes.
The man started tripping out in Parliament, man.
Yeah. The truth does offend, so people like them will start to cuss because they're exposed. You're lucky he didn't turn red like blood and probably fire in the parliament, because they don't want that to be exposed, because it means therefore their political life will be cut short, and they will have to face what? Blue lights and silver bracelets for what they have done to the people. They have to return what they have stolen from us.
And here that is not no 9 billion, you know. When Kamala was reading out and doing she take over there in Parliament, it's 10 billion, brother.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
10 billion. You know what I'm saying? So like all them social programs and things like that too, them going and cut all that, brother. You know? Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they go to like the feeding program and all that, the school feeding program, and even cut that even further.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then after Kamala was done doing her speech and everything like that, you know what I mean? Captain Cassava come on now, and boy, he like gone mad. clear out. I'm wondering why Kamala leaving the place and everything. Where do you think she wanna sit there and listening to your garbage? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I'm telling you, Parliament TV is very, very entertaining. Right? I suggest that as much citizens as possible really tune in and watch this thing, because I mean this is better than TV.
Theatrics is only games with these fellas and them, and you know the level of incompetence and the level of irksome and the level of Eric. You know that's why Eric are talking about excruciating to listen to these fellas and them, and that's why people don't pay attention to them, because they experience it by their policies and programs in their daily lives on a daily basis, moment by moment, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, until of course we get rid of them.
Them decaying, and they don't even know that, right?
Yes.
And the next thing I want to address on all too, right? You see small pin and the bread and the merchant bank? Well, Lord help them. That's all I have to say, because what coming for them?
Yeah. They take all our budgetary monies and deposits. With that, they move from, of course, a little known to a merchant bank, and then, of course, they negotiated with all of these contractors and all of these PPP, private-public partnership arrangements and bolt arrangements and so on. We know all of that. Focusing there because they want to buttress on top of this government. Yeah.
It's all friends and family in that whole dance.
That's right. And that will be disrupted when the UNC comes to the government.
The music stopped now, and they even know that. Them dancing and music stopped. Hey, Lennox Smith, tell us, I don't want to keep it back because I know you have plenty
valid quite a lot of people are calling right now, yes.
Yeah, man, you're loving the house all the time, man. And look, one thing, right, Rowley is a pedophile rapist. Please.
That's right, they're pedophile and a rapist. I must say that before the night finished. Don't fight about that.
Oh, you mean? I got your back.
Yes, thank you. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome. There's one after the next. So pleasant good night.
Yeah. Mr. Lennox?
Yes.
Mr. Lennox?
Yes. Good night.
Yes, good night.
Right.
Mr. Lennox?
Yeah.
Listen now. First to begin, let me tell Miss Madras that the stars will continue to shine.
Yes, yes.
No, let me go with my 2 cents. No. I was looking at the Parliament.
I'm hearing your device in the background. It's creating some disturbance.
Just hold on.
I had enough of that over the last couple of weeks. I'm now immune to them. Go ahead.
Yes, I was looking at the Parliament, and just imagine, you know, like in both Bamsi clapping like it was at your service, because everything, Mrs. Kamala sleep, and Kamala speaking, you only getting up every minute to object. You know, you only getting up to object, and Rowley's one big coward. Just imagine.
All of them, not just Rowley. All of them. They only could get on as they are getting on with the entrapment of government and the force of law that has behind it. Outside of that, I know Heinz in a shitong, Imbert in a shitong. I had Imbert Undermining walking up and down Passage Street in Lavatil, having jumping over, drain, all kind of things. That's how I just treated them. And Heinz, he dare not walk on the same side with me if he meet me on the road, one on one. But go ahead. I just thought I should emphasize how the degree of their cowardice. All right, it appears that All right, that's it. A pleasant good night.
Lennox.
Hey.
Lennox.
Hey.
Let the government cut everything. Let them take a big scissors and cut it, man. It could be the detriment of them. Because at the end of the day, when they do that, people get control. And no vex. You know?
Yeah.
Let him go continue. He's a square peg in a round hole. He hinds all of them. A set of failures. I don't know why he came to fame to become a finance minister. I don't know. Listen, Lennox, if you tabulate every year this man have this media review or what they call it,
yeah,
you will see coming and asking for 2 billion, 3 billion. You tabulate that is over $30-40 billion he come back and ask for shortfall in the previous budgetary allocation, you know. And every time he do that, there's more money your grandchildren have to pay down the road. I don't know how they're paying for that because they don't have the oil and gas revenue. And this government, they're basing all the estimation on 3 years from now when they get the dragon deal, whatever deal they have coming towards them. They say they will get the estimates and the money from that. They don't know what price at that time. They don't know who could be in power in the White House if they go allow Maduro to continue his stupidness. Yeah? Then listen, them playing monopoly with the people in this country, you know. And
it's a game of chance right through every single thing that they said would produce for Trinidad and Tobago, and they have the hyperboles and the arrogance and the contemptuous, what I consider to be orations, and with the appropriate body language to give the impression that what they're talking about is reality. And then when it comes, as I expressed in terms of medical terms, they do the diagnosis, and then they could diagnose too bad, and then they do prognosis. But when it comes to the prescription part, they fail all the time, consistently, and they come back with that every time.
And Lennox, let me tell you something, They always want the public to take the cuts, but they know they would never take no cut in their pay.
No, they take no cut in
benefits.
In no pay, in benefits, and of course in the ill-gotten so-called private operations that they suddenly have, including that of Balize House. They suddenly could pay over $100 million for that monstrosity. We waiting with bated breath.
Every minister and their wife or some family member have some building rental too.
Yes.
They have some kind of big contract outside there. Don't forget that these people making
it's a kleptocracy. Rowley put together. He himself, King Kobo in that regard.
Lennox, we really in a tough situation. I don't know how this country going to recover from that.
No, we can. We just have to get rid of them first. And then, of course, people like you and I will simply have to work overtime, put our shoulders to the wheel, but knowing full well that input versus output is fair and equitable and not artificial, as these guys have exposed themselves and, of course, has embarrassed the Trinidad and Tobago with the level of corruption and nepotism and cronyism purporting to be good government. And you have people saying that they are a cult. No, they are a bunch of thieves.
And I see this next one, Suini himself, Suini government, and if he can give money, go put in a fund for the constituents, this first comments. I would have what kind of nonsense going on in this place, himself, Suini himself.
No.
Have a good night, Lennox.
He must tell us, give back voluntarily what he has ill-gotten. That's what he should be doing. All of them. A bunch of thieves, but purporting to be, because they still have the veneer, the ostentatiousness of government. That's all. It's just a front. But they're a bunch of thieves. And of course, as I've always described them as idiots. So it's also an idiocracy. Because I can't see people believing they're smart, and even this fifth standard school child, if not lower, would see through the nonsense that they speak on a daily basis. They can't make a good excuse, but want to be in the highest administrative and addressing, of course, serious problems of the society. A bunch of buffoons. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night.
Good night, Lennox. Trying to get you a long time.
Yes. Most people have been. I too have been trying to interact with you for a very long time as well. I better say you are using plural here, but you can take it.
Well, I have a problem here tonight.
Go ahead.
My problem is this. The book where they say that call out. They call out race me now. Race me and the alligator mouth Heinz.
Yes. Yeah, I put up a video on that.
He was saying by just employing race me, that is corruption. Well, if it's so, what are we do with that lawyer when they sign up that agreement? That is corruption.
That's right. And more than that, if you're talking about SSA, the whole of the SSA collapsed under Rowley and they, and people with fake, false credentials were employed for years.
So you have my problem.
Go ahead.
You have a problem. The problem is, how can we get them people charged? What we have to do on what kind of
First thing has to happen, my friend. That is how it is. The reality is they have to get out of office. How we get them out is by vote. Elections is next year, thank God. It's not like 3 years ago when I told people, listen, we are 3 years again. They say, oh God. But now it's just a matter of months. So when that happens, you'll see all of them scampering. Who go in Africa? You'll see people like Rowley and this fella in HGC and Unicot, Noel Garcia. They're going on head for Africa. But it's a small world. It's a small world. The world has condensed.
Lennox?
Yes.
Lennox, Mr. Lennox, they will get caught because look at Rowley cousin get a check. You remember?
Yes.
So
that wasn't supposed to be told. That wasn't supposed to be known. Yes.
Right. So that just to say, all that they're trying to help me God.
Yes, it's going to encircle them. Yes.
Right.
And the vice will be turned until they are smothered and crushed in a prison.
Thank you very much. I hope for that.
Yes, man. Yes. We all are that optimistic. That rapist and pedophile at the head of our affairs and orchestrating all of this iniquity against the people is as if, and I was contemplating sometime today, as to why would a person or a group of persons engage in such what I consider to be devious and harmful conduct against their own people who put them there. And I have concluded that there are people who, only because they have the privilege or the opportunity, they will engage in evil, something like the devil. The devil can't help but being evil. Well, like Rowley and they. But let me go to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Arima here again.
Yes, good night.
What I want to say is, these fellas that Christmas list met with, what's going on with them people in the government? They're frightened, you know.
Of course they're frightened.
Yeah, they're frightened too bad because they notice that when they felt them gangman or gunman say something, they mean business.
Yes.
You understand? So when they see the type of gun, and even the citizens see them type of gun, never mind when they get guns in abandoned house and all in the bush and thing, they see in the gun.
Yes.
But they actually see it in these fellas' hand and they know how they threaten and all of that. So it's frightened, they get frightened, I feel so. Yep. You understand? And they're hearing how they're talking against the government. All how you turn, they're telling you about the government. So they know they're scared. right?
Yes.
But you see, the day them fellas get their hand on some rocket launcher, I say this already, is blows, you know. That Red House, how much time it catch a fire, Lennox?
Too much to that, because I think in 1903 was the first, the water riots, and then of course the Red House was burnt in those circumstances. And then we had a similar situation in 1990.
I know, but I know the year I'm thinking of, but I know that Paul Red House always under pressure.
Yes.
1990, Abu and them had too little bit of gun. They couldn't bring in much ammunition.
Yes.
But they had a little bit. But this time, these type of gun it have here, and once rocket launcher get in their hand, it blows, you know.
Yeah.
I see and blows. You see?
And so, you can't tell me that all of that come from the States.
No.
That's a figment of Rowley and them imagination to try to protect Venezuela, to protect, I should say, Maduro and they basically Venezuela, but they don't want so much focus to be on Venezuela because of their sympathy and the so-called dragon gas. You'll hear him talking about it since 2018, and still talking about it and can't materialize.
The thief and we, the robbing we with money.
$1 million.
They have to get it right.
US annually.
They give them that as a thing up front. But yet I hear Anna Robert saying is a social thing. So the social thing is like, you know, a little welfare to help the country.
Yes.
You understand? I remember a reporter asked, they'll see how only getting through with the sanction because here now they have countries giving them food like Turkey and things.
Yes, of course.
Turkey is one country that give them came out first and helped them with food. Watch me.
Iran and all.
She said we have secrets. And you hear Rowley tell earlier? They have secrets.
Yes.
They just keep each other's secret.
That's right.
But let me tell you something about that gang, the brotherhood. I could talk plain. They can't call me like Christmases and thing, you know, because I have no fear. The brotherhood is the Cuban and the Venezuelan. So right now, I don't know if you know, Putin sending about 3 warships to Cuba and a nuclear submarine which will arrive next week Thursday. He say he coming there to exercise, and nobody can tell he that he can't go in international waters. He coming in the Caribbean Sea to protect Cuba and Venezuela. He coming to exercise. Well, the last time he talked was about exercise was when he go near the borderline in Ukraine to exercise. You can remember that?
Yes.
He say he going there to exercise. So I want to know why he had to come quite here to exercise with them kind of battleship where they show
that is international torturing, or should I say tormenting, and trying, of course, to inveigle outcome that his own country and he wouldn't like.
But after that now, he come and he say that if America allow Ukraine to attack Russia inside Russia with their weapons, he going to come down here in the West with the weaponry and supply it to his allies. Well, we know who is the ally, Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. And they could use it to attack America. So I know that Cuba, close to Miami,
Well, of course, we know about the Cuban crisis, the Missile Crisis, when, of course, there was this embargo, and, of course, they cowed and they went back. But Putin is a madman, but if he wants to start World War III, well, there's nothing we could do about it. It simply means that for sure Russia will be no more.
Watch me. A person was saying to me today It could have World War III, yes. But all the World War III coming, we really wouldn't like it to be done on this side. Yeah. We all know how we hate America. We all know how Penny hate America. And if we could throw down this gang man we have here, out of that gang, it will be very good
must
for us.
do that through democratic processes. And what we are doing here is enlightening the people, let them know what the dangers there are lurking and real, and because they experience it, and therefore I think that by itself will make them use the ballot, not the bullet, in order to get rid of these vipers.
Listen, Lennox.
Yes, okay. We have a
you see this ballad you just be talking about?
Yes.
I believe with protests and international intervention, meaning countries talking about this way this man will be treating us inside of here, violating the rights and all of that, something could happen.
Christmas list is a welcome, should I say, spontaneous or voluntary ally to the people. We didn't expect that. We didn't know that. But that is 100, when I check, 150,000 persons viewing his, and that is just a joke. His videos, and on all of the continents of the world, all 5 continents.
The YouTubers from different continents.
That's right. That's
if
right.
You hear them talk, especially the Africans.
I'm putting something together to highlight that. Yeah. So when I approach him, I want him, of course, on our program as well, both the ground report as well as the corridor, so that we can have a discussion on the matter. So we developing the technology where he could talk from wherever he is.
Nice. That will be good. Let me give somebody else a chance.
Yes. I see Mr. Tagarigo is there. Mr. Tagariga, sorry about that call back. I know that you, like everybody else, would have been awaiting this moment. I'm checking, of course, temporarily to make certain that we deliver what we, what we waited so long for. But in the meantime, of course, whilst we are waiting, Tagariga and others, let's hear Imbert, as I said, back in 2018. 2018, people, hear Imbert.
Sums up our thrust to make the journey into the current theme, turnaround. Sums up our thrust to make the journey into the future, sustainable, stable, and equitable.
2018, people.
Madam Speaker, while the country will remain for some time highly dependent on the oil and natural gas sector, we are...
And let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Please, the background.
The background, okay.
Can you remember where I was?
Okay, I'll come off.
Yeah. Please.
I'll call back.
I have a phobia for that. I have a fear of that. Because I don't want the population or the listenership or the attendance to believe that somehow we are back there. I want it to be natural if it has to be. All right, so please, let's go to the next line. Let's go to the next call. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Lennox, good night.
Good night to you, my friend.
You know, a while back, he wanted to ask somebody to help him. About finance, you can remember?
Yes. And he didn't know what a roadshow was and all of that. When he was a rookie. Well, in terms of what Rowley would describe, that you could say that Imbert is really a carpenter that has been deployed to do a brain surgery.
Boy, you hear the crap that man talk there, boy?
Yeah.
About refinancing our loan. You ever hear so much stupidness there?
Yeah. And mind you, with respect to the so-called loans that Petrotrin was owing, and that there's this bullet payment that was supposed to be made 800 and more million US. You know, they ended up they ended up actually asking the creditors to refinance or renegotiate the loan. So it was a total lie, in other words.
Yes, I was fair.
Because they could have done that all the time, refinance the entire exercise.
When I hear this man talking about a line above and a line below, I say, well, this man gone mad. I'm trying to say about the opposition leader, you know, nothing about refinancing.
Yeah, well, no, but more than that, I heard him talking when the Auditor General debacle was in its, let's say, in its full force. And he was saying that the opposition don't know arithmetic and addition and so on. But guess what? In a debate where he couldn't find $3 billion, you see these people mad?
And then he
castigated people who can't check. He said they can't check, but he missing a whole $3 billion as finance minister. You see, it's to put these fellas, line them up, and of course, give them some good clout. Take off all the hair off their head like Rowley and give them some good clout. Yeah.
And the next one, following always talking stupidness and attacking camera. Small pin.
Yeah. Well, you know, that is the forte because they believe that that's how they could catapult or parachute back into government. That and a pink donkey, they will not see. Even though, of course, they could dream about it. No doubt, they could tell you, listen, there are pink donkeys. He will tell you that.
I like how he came on and he made it good. Because as you say, if General would have arithmetic, look at billions of dollars spending out.
Yeah. You can't come for billions, but you concerned with people. You had the audacity to tell people that they can't check. Give me a break.
I don't want to laugh for more than say nothing. But it would be nice for him to write an article and tell this man, what crap you talking about refinancing? You talk shit.
Yeah, the man are total ignoramus. And every day their sham is being exposed. Every day they are being divested of the facade that they would project to the people as if they're bright. I don't know. I believe my 9-year-old son still in standard 1 could make a better excuse than them fellas, generally speaking.
But I feel him got ready for the madhouse.
Yeah, all of them. Who the gods wish to destroy, they first send them mad. That is what the Greeks say. All of them have gone insane.
Well, I hear the trend this man going off on with his refinancing. I couldn't believe it all that he went and talked.
I'm telling you, Trinidad could never be a real place with these fellas at the helm.
I hope they must be full PNM people with that. But I'm glad how the opposition
I doubt PNM people will not believe that Imbert and them either take them for asses or, put another way, they have reposed their trust to lead this moribund PNM, to lead them, a bunch of asses.
Boy, you see PNM people don't believe anything.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
All right, then. Yes, okay, yes. Go ahead, caller. Sorry about that. We had another caller on the other line. Go ahead, caller.
I know. I want to make another contribution, but I want to get your honest opinion and tell me what you think. Now, first of all, I want to say that I agree with your last caller. David Lee gave one of his best rebound debates and to counter everything that Imbert said on Friday. That was one of David Lee's best presentation in Parliament. And I've listened to Parliament since 2015. I've been listening to it, even in the middle of the night sometimes. But let me make this fast. You know, I think this PNM government has funding from people and families from the days of colonialism, where they still have this ideology of a plantation economic model, you know, where you have like the people who have all the knowledge, all the information, they keep it tightly held, and they will only release information when they feel like it or it's necessary. And I say this because many of our people here are not really exposed to the ongoings or the inner workings of government. You know, you go to a government office, nobody there to help you, you leave. You come back the next day, well, they might help you, they leave, they tell you things missing, this missing, that missing. When the government tells us they're going to digitize everything, you go to the ministry and they're still using carbon paper, and they have a file, they lose a file. So what I'm trying to get at is this, and then you tell me if I'm wrong. In the 1903 water riots,
yes,
all the people of Port of Spain, many of them had pools, wonderful landscape with green grass, lots of flowers, and they had houseboys and lots of people attending the yard, cleaning it. And most of those people who worked with them were the free children of African slaves, or the poor people in Port of Spain. And many of the lineage, remember 1903 from 1945, Lennox, wasn't a long period. They all them motorcycles on Madras Road, telling you. But anyway, I think the whole gang went up the road.
That's
you
what?
hear that, Lennox?
I didn't hear that.
That was like all these. Okay, that was all these motorcycles. It's
yes.
crazy.
Mm.
But what I'm going to get at let's go back to the 1903 water riots. What happened at that time, Lennox, was that the colonial government from England, they wanted to track the water and they wanted to tax people on water.
Right.
But remember, at that time, all those poor people in Laventille had no water.
Right.
They never had water. And so all the rich people started, especially the MPs and the rich white people who work for the colonial government, kept telling everybody, well, look what they want to do. They want to create a water problem. You will get no water. They're going to tax you on water. When these people had no water. Mm-hmm. So the people now, they were supposed to get water because it was going to spread to Laventille. The colonial government from England wanted water throughout the city, throughout the other areas. But the people who were here running the parliament in a governor style thing, they didn't want that. They were greedy and they were racist. I say this to you because what they did was they perpetuated a false narrative, a psychological narrative where they encourage people to believe that if you get water, the government was going to tax you and you will be penniless. Meanwhile, they were running water day and night. And if they had meters, the government would track their meters. All these poor people in Laventille had nothing. They just wanted to drink and take a shower. And so today now, the government coming back to us and telling us they want to do a residential tax. A residential, not commercial, okay? Because we know all the rich people own all of the prime commercial real estate. All the rich people in this country own all the prime residential. So now you're telling us, oh, you have a house, they're going to tax you. You have 3 bedrooms, they're going to tax you. If you have an apartment building, that's a commercial space, to be honest, too, eh? And you put a little shed downstairs and you have your stuff there, that's commercial now. You can't pay tax on that. You're exempt. But you poor people who live in little houses, now you are believing that they're going to come after you and tax you, and you're probably going to get taxed $100, maybe less. And then they scare you with these letters in the mail, wrongly addressed, wrong name. You had to pay this much tax. It was just a scare propaganda tactic that the PNM uses consistently, and they learned very well from the people who are funding the PNM. I say this with confidence because of that pattern of behavior, and it's happening today. Yeah. I'm telling you something, Lennox. You see this next election? If the PNM win, you will see riots. I'm telling you.
Oh yes, It's clear. The writing is on the wall. But I want to tell you this: that you certainly have.
You think I'm right?
You have hit the nail on the head. You have certainly hit the nail on the head in terms of that class differentiation, and that class preference that the society has embraced and has continued to evolve. And today, there is similarity with, of course, the property tax, as was the case with the water riots, because you're quite right. The people who had the largest and the opportunity to have a water supply in their homes were in fact those who were well-to-do, but the tax was too high. So they decided, of course, to come up against it. And of course, the other classes, the lower classes, got caught up in that whole agenda for on behalf of those who were privileged. So you're quite right. I'm saying so to say that just as today, when Rowley and they had to go back to the Parliament and reduce the property tax from 3% to 2%. Similar. They're under pressure, but there are other factors that we have to look at. But let me go straight to the line before I continue. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah, Lennox, a pleasant good night again.
Yes.
Lennox, you remember that the government want to put the government offices in Heritage Building down in Point Forty there?
Yeah.
Right. Well, about 2 or 3 days ago, they hired a set of people for that work.
Yeah. I was down there sometime, and I was being told of that development. They want to put an administrative complex there, utilizing, of course, former Petrotrin assets. There is another private entity that is waiting for that to develop before they pounce on them, because I understand that the land was, of course, leased to the government indirectly, of course, over the years. The various oil interests that utilize the same assets over the years change hands, but the lease was always from a private entity, and that lease was up, I think, in 1950 something, 56. No, I think it was later than that. I think it was 1991, and so they now that Petrotrin is closed down, they are now making legal and other maneuvers to get back those lands. Lennox. So it's going to be something to look at. Go ahead.
Lennox. It have a fella right now in Point Forty tell me something real sinister concerning the land. Basically, the whole of Trinidad and Tobago. I will try and get a number and let me
tell you this one time. That is the same person who we are talking to. I can assure. From the time you say the whole of Trinidad is the same person that. Let me tell you the name of the company. The name of the company is the Movant. I don't think it's real estate, but Movant something company limited. All the lands belong to them.
Yeah, this thing real deep.
Yeah.
This thing, I had to get this man. Lennox, in time you were explained to the whole country and the whole world really playing up in this country.
I don't want to say too much, except to say that you are on the right path.
Lennox, locked on and listening.
Yes, indeed, my friend. Let's go back, of course, the people to Imp's birth and his in 2018, telling us how nice the economy is, coming out from 2017 when he told us that the oil is booming, the economy is in a upward superlative position, and you can expect voluptuous living, but instead what we have is pain, agony, and every blasted system, ministry not functioning, dysfunctional, because we have a dysfunctional group of individuals who are criminals managing the affairs of the country, and because they are cowards, utilizing, of course, the insularity of the office, culture in legalities. But you and I can, of course, disrupt all of that by our index finger come 2025. And then all hell will break loose for them. and heaven gates will be open and milk and honey will begin to flow when, of course, they would have been jettisoned from office. But let's hear what this nincompoop was saying then, as opposed to now.
Sustainable, stable, and equitable. Madam Speaker, while the country will remain for some time highly dependent on the oil and natural gas sector, we are building the non-energy economy with the production of goods and services
non-energy
for the domestic and foreign markets.
But people are not invested in Trinidad.
Services are sufficiently competitive for accessing export markets with the associated generation of foreign exchange. We are securing investors for our new industrial estates in our drive to secure foreign direct investment. We understand
about 3 persons alone come
for enhancing foreign exchange
in that
earnings
in that industrial estate that they set up in Wallafield.
We are focusing on high value and light manufacturing and emerging industries. Madam Speaker, we are facilitating inflows of direct foreign investment for our development process by establishing the infrastructure on which industrial and commercial businesses could thrive. Our network of roads and highways, our new airport terminal in Tobago, our domestic and external telecommunications, our water and electricity supply, our modern and relevant education system, higher standards of health care,
2018 people talking
affordable and adequate housing, and a sound financial system, well capitalized, highly profitable, and very liquid.
Fantasy talk,
Madam Speaker, an essential condition for creating the potential for higher output growth and an improved standard of living has been anchored on our stabilizing economy with an appropriately sequenced fiscal policy which is aimed at achieving approximate fiscal balance over the medium term. We have achieved this objective by improving the buoyancy of tax revenues through stronger collection and tax administration efforts and tight control over public expenditure.
2018 he talking
Madam Speaker,
delivering the budget of that year, what's the...
to satisfy the rising aspirations of the needs of our society through the self-imposed recovery, growth and transformation program. Preserving the tolerance of our society and the stability of the economy, which have always been in the best interests of this multicultural society, will represent the fundamental requirement for meeting this challenge and for securing the interests of all our citizens. In our first 3 years, Madam Speaker, in our first 3 years, we have achieved the Herculean task, Herculean feat of stabilizing our vulnerable economy in the face of a $20 billion drop in annual revenue. We have turned the economy around from contraction and stagnation to real economic growth, and the prospects for the future are bright. In so doing, Madam Speaker, we did not continue the reckless, unsustainable, and profligate spending of the past. And thus, Madam Speaker, we avoided the IMF trap that so many other Caribbean countries have succumbed to. We also did not rashly devalue the dollar, and we thus preserved value and minimized increases in the cost of living for all our citizens. Indeed, Madam Speaker, in the words of the well-known song written by Paul Anka and sung by Frank Sinatra, we did it our way. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Now, that is the level of buffoonery. That is the level of abuse of the power to speak. That is the level of hyperboles and grandiloquence. That is the level of toxic oration, cacophonous babblings, and ambulatory nonsensicality verbalized, coming out of one man's mouth but of course representing the entire cabinet and the kitchen cabinet of this Rowley administration, a criminal enterprise. He said that in 2018, painting this utopia. But what we have been experiencing even after the presentation of that budget is dystopia, evil, wickedness, pain, agony, drudgery, unemployment, reduced income, reduced disposable income. People cannot save. And they closed down major industries in this country that would have, of course, a repercussion or ripple effect in other areas such as Petro-Trin. If you hear him speak, and you have heard him speak, you would see that it is pure histrionics. And why a person like me who nestles the argument in factual experiences, data, and literature and experiences, was when Rowley was exposed in the Parliament just before the 2015 general elections by none other, and I consider her to be a heroine, a female hero. When, of course, are talking about Vanilla Topping, when she said that Rowley is a product of rape and that he himself turned out to be a rapist. In pedagogue training, in teacher training, such a scenario is called, of course, the child is the father of the man, meaning that your childhood experiences, you live out in adulthood. That is Rowley. And you will understand why I made the nexus between those kinds of knowledge that we now have about Rowley and, of course, the proclivity, the tendency, the predilection to do evil, even though there was no need to. But because they have the office and that could be done, that is possible. And while we have, of course, a sanction for it called, of course, misbehavior in public office, abuse of office, corruption and nepotism, Rowley is prepared, of course, to stretch the envelope, and he has in fact done so. And every single institution, you telling me there was no need for Rowley to interfere with the shortlist for Commissioner of Police, embarrassing the sitting president at the time? There was no need to. And I remembered on another occasion when Kwamina was the president. Remember, Kwamina asked out of concern as a citizen, and because he has influence, not necessarily legal or legal authority, but he could have minister and ask him. In that case, of course, it was the then Minister of National Security, Dillon, and he called him to President's house to just talk about crime and criminality at the time. And because the then President Kwamina was also a prosecutor operating in the office of the DPP, and therefore was very familiar with the criminal justice system. And obviously some of the young people or those persons who would be engaged or come to court or prosecute, he would know, and therefore know something. You know, when that communication was acknowledged or was brought to the attention of Rowley, Rowley literally started cussing the man. and say you have no right to call my Minister of National Security or talk to him? Yeah, that is what came out. And you remember the time Kwamina was in some hot waters with some accounting arrangement at his residence. Because it appears that he was, of course, claiming for something that he ought not to have claimed before. Maybe I think some house allowance because, of course, he was occupying the premises provided for by state to the president, whosoever that person is. But the fact of the matter is that Rowley ended up saying that he and the president does do good. Remember, he said that he and the president, Kwamona, does do good. He has no animosity against the president. But then, of course, expressed his concern with respect to the president calling his Minister of National Security, Mervyn Dillon, in order, of course, to what? To talk about crime. And what makes it insincere of Rowley, and how duplicitous, and how bipolar, and how evil, and how devilish this man is. In spite, in the same breath, when he said that he and Kamona does do good, he then turned and say he is a beleaguered or a beleaguered president. A beleaguered president, that is not kind. That is sad. That is wicked. That is deceptive. I say all of that, and I bring that point to demonstrate that Rowley can't change. Like I said, he is immutable. And there is a psychological, his character and personality. And that anything he touches, it must be tainted with some kind of evil and sinister agenda designed to make him look good. So at the same time, whilst he's an evil man, he is the narcissist, self-centered, serving, and believe that he knows everything, and dominate. And I could well imagine the kind of pressure. But 30 pieces of silver could solve and make people countenance and absorb and tolerate that level of embarrassment and the vitriolic and, of course, the excoriating statements that Rowley will utter in the presence of his ministers, particularly those who, as we see, can't help it but do nonsense simply because they are mediocres, who are given a job that is suited to people like Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her team to manage the affairs of the country. You give these charlatans, these quacks. You just have to listen, of course, to the Minister of Public Utilities, Gonzalez. Sometimes they call him Gonzales, given or Gonzala, you know, in Spanish. To distinguish between male and female, you put an A at the end. Well, you will understand what I'm talking about. But the fact of the matter is that all of these ministers, he's just an exemplification. You have, of course, Hines. You have, of course, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. They can't determine who that person is in Foreign Affairs. They haven't so much makeup. Their effeminine disposition seem to trump over what they have to say. And what they have to say is normally nauseating, asinine, stupid, infantile, and total and absolute hogwash. Hogwash. You little things, and you want to vomit. Yes, you want to regurgitate that which is in your stomach. He gives you an upset stomach one time. And of course, some people would like to say an intellectual and cognitive and cerebral diarrhea. Diarrhea, people. That's what we have. Purporting to be ministers and prime minister in this country. With a predilection for total evil and everything they touch. And don't get me vexed before I start to, because it starts with sandals, it starts with the sea bridge, it starts with, of course, Petrotrin, it starts with, of course, the destruction of the Police Service Commission, the police service itself, the inability to manage crime, and of course, telling us as if we are fools. Just imagine, and we have to make joke of these fellas, because Rowley tell us that of course, crime and criminality is a public health and a public health issue, and bring, of course, to reinforce that with our money to make us more, so they believe, more fools, by making us believe that they're serious, that crime is about a public health issue. And so we have to caricature, we have to lampoon them, we have to tell them in no certain terms that when a man point a gun at you and he let go the bullet, look for the nearest pharmacy and go and get some kind of remedy so that bullet would not 7 feet. Yeah, that is the assness we have as minister, and the hogwash they're talking. You know, they're talking something after they spend over according to them, $1 million in bringing, of course, ministers and the prime ministers into this country at our expense to have a frolic. And here it is, to make more folly, to make more dotishness, to make more asinineness, or to make more inaneness, or to make more what I would consider to be manic depressive psychosis. You know what I say? I say manic depressive psychosis. Total absence of reality. That is what these fellas and women are engaged in. So just to bring all of us back to sanity and to demonstrate how nonsensicality, how nonsensical the notion of crime being a public health issue. You know, 3 men were killed right in the in what ward, or next to, or close to, or just south of? Where? Yeah, the emergency ward, the emergency unit of the Port of Spain General Hospital. Laugh at them, and when they come in your face, and especially if it's on TV, if of course, if I could have afforded one, every time Rowley come, 1 clock, but in my house, he cannot have any traction. In my house, we have a ban on Rowley. I alone will listen because I have to talk to you. But if not, I ban him too. Mash up the blasted TV. These people are egregiously and wholesalely wicked, nasty, and dangerous. Their toxicity knows no boundary and have no end. But evil cannot prevail indefinitely. Yes, Rowley. Yes, Hines. Yes, Hines. And Hines and them, you notice, they only speak about Rowley as their leader when they are in, of course, an environment that will tolerate their nonsense. You see, they cannot castigate in all seriousness Kamala Prasad Bisesa as leader of the opposition and leader of the UNC. Guess why? She holds no baggage like rape and rapist title like Rowley. So when people like Hines and them come around people like me and telling me that Rowley is a good leader, I must reference that you have a leader that is a rapist and a pedophile. Yes, I must say that. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night to welcome.
Yeah, good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
Yes, man. Lennox, I want to ask you something.
Go ahead.
You believe this election coming, even though Camilla win the election,
yes,
you believe Rowley and them giving up that so easy?
Of course not. They have already institutionalized their various minions in various ministries. But what I know for a fact that will be easily neutralized, because all of the nastiness that they plotted and executed against Kamla Prasad Bisasande, there were people inside of there whose conscience and over whose desk documents would have passed to try to set up Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen, and of course members of the Kamla Prasad Bisasande administration in the past. Yeah.
May I hear you back then?
You hear me?
The people in Tobago.
I call her. Just hold on. Just hold on. Call her.
You're back on. You're back on.
All right. Okay.
Lennox.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Lennox.
Go ahead.
Asking me something. They're asking me that. Look at in both. It take a day since he walk in. Right? The kind of problems that ministry have in finance. That he don't want the public to know what's going on. That he can't take a day for nobody to go in there. These people will do anything possible to hold on to power, even though the power is not theirs, because they put everybody now in certain institutions to get it, right?
Yeah.
Look at next thing. Recently I watching Parliament there. Where Rowley saying Camilla even watching him. Nobody don't want to watch Rowley. If Rowley on my TV, I just turn him off. I just feel sick.
yeah, all over.
Look, I just ask God to take Rowley, right? God.
Yeah. And you have been very public with that, yes.
Because Satan don't want God to take Rowley, because Satan got the same problem we have with Rowley. He gonna have that.
I hear you.
Right? But we have to come out in our numbers. It's the only way. This man is not giving up. I hear people in Tobago, some so-called white people telling me last time, Rowley is not going back for election, and I laugh at them. Rowley cannot leave power.
Nah, he can't. No. Never had it better.
He will be locked up.
Yeah.
You see, when you think it's blue light that Rowley change the bulbs and having a good time home, it's police in the house. That blue light is police. It's not just Rowley. Boy, I don't know. But the people of Trinidad and Tobago sit back too much and give him too much leeway, and every inch he take it, right?
Yeah, obvious, because that's the nature of the beast. He might be a beast in human form.
Let me tell you something. I just get up when the morning come, and when I realize Rowley still in power, it does make me sick.
Yeah, most of us.
Rowley making me sick.
Yeah, ad nauseum. Most of us, yes.
Right? I don't even want to hear. And then when you watch at in this minister of national security again, he making you more sick.
The man is a total ass.
Oh God!
In human form. Yeah.
God really make people like them the same true boy.
Yeah, boy. I shocked to know it had people like that. I read about them in the Bible, but I never thought that I would have lived to see that in Trinidad.
Look how nice Trinidad and Tobago was, and look how Rowley bring it.
Yeah.
This was a land of paradise. Long time me I got tuned. Welcome to Tobago, the land of Robinson Crusoe. It's paradise. You can you sing that again?
That's right.
Oh God. May God hold Rowley hand and take him to the grave. Yes, thank you.
Yes, man. Yes. Well, people, of course, we have come to the end. I only have to, of course, clear up one issue, I think, from a caller earlier. And that is, of course, coming from the whole question of the water riots of 1903, and then, of course, bring it back to more contemporary or modern times in 1990, and to, of course, extrapolate and to generate the comparison. Well, the comparison is that, and I did in fact indicate that we have a modern comparison with respect to property tax, where the well-to-do in the society say that 3% too high, and the government went back and, of course, and adjusted it to 2%. Well, in the case of the water riots, a similar situation occurred, but of course, that was after the Red House was burnt to the ground. Well, I don't think it's to the ground. I think it was gutted. It was eviscerated. But the fact of the matter is that we have a similar situation, but as I said as well, there were other factors that you have to take into consideration. And those are that the privileged will always want to remain in the privileged position as is today. And if it is that the government is the facilitator of the privilege against the middle class and lower class or working class, while that is not sustainable, because I expect that 2025, because the middle class and the working class are in the majority, and therefore they will be feeling the pain and therefore will have an opportunity to take their revenge. Rowley and they clearly will want to use the apparatus of state to stay in government. It is called a what? Not a palace coup. It is called an auto coup. A government or a party getting into government want to stay in government unmeritoriously by utilizing the apparatus of state. We know that. But people rest assured that as night gives way to day and vice versa, and as constant as the northern star, Rowley and they must go. You see, history and therefore experience must be the greatest teacher. I always tell my students that. And therefore we just have to reference 1986 to the tree. We must reference, of course, 1995, when the UNC came into government essentially for the first time. We must also reference 2000 and 2001 and 2002, when, of course, Robinson, in a fit of vindictiveness and revenge for something that he believed Pandey did him, so he handed the government to the PNM through Manning, of course, referencing what? Spiritual values. Spiritual values. Imagine that he gave the devil the government on the basis of spiritual values. I suppose spiritual value in that context could be the most evil of them all, because you have evil spirits as well. So I suppose in hindsight and in retrospect, it appears that that is what Robinson would have meant. But of course, we also had what? 2010. And mind you, no longer out of the vocabulary, the pernicious propaganda vocabulary of the PNM. Notice, they don't talk about Kamala lose more elections than Rowley, you know. Notice that. You see, every time they claim that Kamala did something more than Rowley or did something wrong, as propaganda, as and as a figment of their respective imagination or the bottomless pit of the PNM propaganda, it always turns out to be a failure, a faux pas, as if they're spitting in the sky and it fall in the faces. They always have egg, but in this case, of course, I would say shit on the face. Yes. You see, and I say so without fear of contradiction. They said that Kamala was flying more than any other prime minister. It turns out that Rowley has taken that record. They said that the PNM under Manning had over 500 murders. Rowley take over that 3 times in this short stint that he has been in office. 3 records of the highest murders. It was said that Kamala Prasad Bisesa and they were the most corrupt. It turns out that Rowley was, of course, camouflaging and projecting some kind of anti-corruption image when, in fact, he has turned out to be a corruption promoter. A corruption promoter. And has, of course, neutralized and eliminated and sanitized the UNC if they had any, because I have had no evidence of that, because I would have, as anybody else with a modicum or a morsel of common sense, would look at the mega projects of the UNC and look for the corruption that would have been bandied about by the PNM and Rowley, and they still do, but they do it in a vacuum. You see, a vacuum is an empty space, and therefore, just like a blasted empty vessel, it making plenty noise, but carries nothing. Because they cannot tell us where was the corruption in the velodrome, the cycling velodrome, a mega project of the UNC. They cannot tell us where is the corruption with respect, of course, to the aquatic center. They cannot tell us with respect, of course, as far as corruption is concerned under the UNC, with respect to the multiple hospitals that were constructed. And they cannot tell us. Rowley, of course, is in a state of enigma. He puzzled why they cannot find any corruption in the over 107 schools. It turned out to be more than the 100 that Rowley couldn't find. Now it turned out that they have attempted, never before any government in the past or present or in the future would have attempted 107 schools, UNC, and under Kamala Prasad Bisesa, either in different stages of completion and or construction, attempted, and they can't find a single one of them. In fact, what PNM didn't said, schools that were almost completed, they leave them there so that nature could take it over. Nature could take them over. That to me is the highest sin that any public official can make or do, especially in circumstances where these schools are needed at this point in time with a growing school population. And they leave it there in fallow, all complete, beautiful buildings under Kamala, simply because they have a predilection for evil. That's the only conclusion one can draw. And let us not waste time with that. That's the conclusion you must draw. They have a predilection for evil. And Rowley is King Kobo in that regard. In that regard, people. So let us not waste time. But the point I am making is that they have not been able to show where the corruption was under Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC. However, we can see multiple corruption from recusal of over 500, never before in any democracy. And we have inherited, of course, the Westminster system of government that, of course, whilst, of course, the United Kingdom do not have a written constitution, we have one. But the fact of the matter is that when a person has a conflict of interest, as so many, including Rowley has, they're supposed to get the hell out of office on principle. These people have no principle. It is a kleptocratic group of individuals who have lost their moral moral moraines, their moral anchor, their moral pillar, and must be jettisoned by force. But force here will mean the ballot, not the bullet. Understand that. Rowley is yet to tell us what those two boats are for, after, of course, destroying the sea bridge between Trinidad and Tobago, and more dependent of the two by Tobago, and crash the economy of Tobago, a place where he was born. The man has no sense of loyalty, no sense of patriotism, only about clearly the mighty dollar and how he can manipulate it to give those who he would have recruited in his nefarious avarice, financial depletion of the resources of the country in the central bank and our reserves, our heritage and stabilization fund, and the manipulation of the private sector, the 1%, by, of course, creating a situation where they dig into, of course, our senior citizens' mattress money and force them to bank it, and then go to the bank and take it out through, of course, arrangements that is typical of governments when they're borrowing money. Yes. In order to satisfy their 1%ers. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Final call.
Yeah, Mr. Assistant. Hey. Fire ball, any PNM boy.
Yes.
Boy, let them all.
Yes, man. Yes, let them haul their ass, because their asses are grasses. People, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's exercise. I want to tell you, of course, it was wonderful. Let me just test again to see if everything is all right. Good. So it has kept up as we expected. The standard is where we want it. Let me just say that, of course, the other number besides the 337-6940, the other number to get my assistant, that number is not working. So some of you who have been calling to give some kind of assistance, because God knows we need it, call my number. I will take it after the program, of course, and before the program, until we get that situation rectified. So the number 336-6594 is not functioning at this time. But we know that people would want to contact us for one reason or another, especially if you want to give us some assistance. We really need it. Me personally, I can tell you that our efforts to improve our facility here on George Street was delayed, was suspended, in order to get the live going and to get, of course, the corridor transformation back on track. And by way of announcement that what we are going to do now that we are back on track, but even if we weren't, we will upload onto YouTube and Facebook videos, activities, videos of activities. You listen to the corridor transformation videos, and of course on Facebook you can get us at Alfred John. Alfred John is the Facebook page, and not, of course, Love Lavatil. We have changed that as well. Good night. Final call.
Lennox,
hey.
I just want to make one statement before you go.
Go ahead.
One of people who call in the program, all you mute, all your volume on the TV, your phone, or wherever, and make all the contribution.
Yes,
and
yes.
You call in and give them a serious feedback on the program.
Yes.
Mute on the TV. That's what I just do. As soon as I
once you get in, yes.
mute my TV, and then unmute it when I'm done.
That's right, that's right.
Mute on the TV when I don't make all the program, because I don't come and you don't hear any feedback on the TV.
Right.
On the program.
Right.
I get that.
Thanks. No, I like that intervention because I was engulfed. I was saturated. I was pregnant with a degree of trepidation, fright, when I heard that reverberation, that feedback, in other words. So I want to caution and I want to endorse the last caller's plea. Please lower or take off your device so that we don't have the feedback, because I really don't want to even think or hear or reminiscing or get any indication as to how we were singing just about two weeks or 3 weeks or 2 days or 3 days ago. All right, people? Let's hope that this standard remains. And as I was saying, we are going to upload, I'm going to upload videos after videos, because I noticed this, I learned it from, of course, Chris and his list. Yeah, I learned it from him because he keep uploading videos to YouTube. Of course, I will be doing both YouTube and Facebook so that we keep you informed all the time and you will be looking for information of the type that we are concerned about, to get rid of this, not just albatross, but this devil, this Luciferian individual that clearly had no cause and had no place and still have no place in Trinidad and Tobago's politics and development. They are cursed, they are evil, they are diabolical, and a waste of blasted time. Well, that is what you will get when dishonorable and dishonest people seek honorable and honest office. What you will get is dishonesty, corruption, nepotism, and cronyism, which has become idiosyncratic and stereotypical of the Rowley administration. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And let us stop kicking in the Parliament. Of course, they're always laughing at us, and they're laughing at us all over the world because Rowley and they try to get rid of a man because they don't want the world to know that they are incompetent, and end up on 5 continents, all the nations of the world knowing that Trinidad and Tobago cannot be a real place with the level of arseness that is being purported for government and governance in this country. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And let me say once again, tomorrow morning, you may well have, from 8 o'clock, Dr. Khalid and myself. Or, for sure, tomorrow night, yours truly will be there. We may not have it on Sunday morning, but just in case, because I am so elated, because I will be, of course, whole night tonight, I will be uploading videos so as to make up for lost time. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless.
It's time Trinidad you learn some sense and stop taking serious things for nonsense and laughing. Anything that takes place in this country, whether it affects the country or we laughing. What's around us throwing the same rate, hospital and skins is in second place and we laughing. We my people coming from heaven knows they walk in the street with the thing exposed and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad, everybody kicks in the bone, we in Trinidad. Always reshuffling cabinet and up to now they can't do nothing yet and we laughing. They buy a boat and it never floats, instead we know it used to carry boat and we laughing. Raise the salary with a big back pay and retrenching for workers every day and we laughing. When election come and you wouldn't vote or you stay in this we go cut it throat and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad, everybody keeps in a fun we in Trinidad.
An act of governmental corruption, which you all are now working hard to cover up over the wrongful and stupid appointment of a rookie in the SIA to a pristine position to head the SSA, an organization, Mr. President, which was to take in the Special Anti-Crime Unit and the Security Intelligence Agency. They were to be combined in the SSA. And they took this rookie, this unknown, unqualified, and caused her to be the head. And today, that government who come in to tell us today about anti-corruption
be considered to be a threat to either security or confidentiality. You want to do a background check on the person's family to see if there's a member of the family.
Best was dismissed from the SSA. That announcement.
Let us know the qualifications and experience record of the person in question. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The government acted on information from the police. I say no more.
And while he stayed true to that, not telling the media exactly what the police are investigating with respect to the Strategic Services Agency,
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said the government has been blindsided by the Strategic Services Agency, the SSA. Speaking to the media immediately.
Honorable Attorney General, your time will be far better spent. Forget the PNM. Over the last few days, in an act of governmental corruption.
It is centered around personnel. The director is responsible for the agency, and therefore he is held responsible. But it's a broader situation.
the Prime Minister said the public needs to trust that the government has seen certain information that required this response.
It's not every day we act like this. It's not every day we do this. Something must have happened to have warranted this.
But the opposition leader has expressed concern that the government through the TTPS has now taken over the SSA. And Kamla Prasad Visesa has described the new acting head as a political operative who will now grant government access to the public's communications.